वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भगद्वेषिणीम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धार नीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनीं कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवै रणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः यत्पदाम्भोरुहध्यान विध्वस्ता शेषकल्मषः वस्तुतामुपयातोऽहं यामुनेयं नमामि तम् यदि परिबृढो यद्गीतानाम् अदर्शयदञ्जसा निगमपरिषन्नेदीयांसं निरामयमाशयम् जननपदवीयातायातश्रमापहरां धियं जनयतु स मे देव श्रीमान् धनञ्जय सारथिः। नमः सदसे, नमः सभाये. My salutations to the Gita Jayanti Astikas, the forum, for having invited me to this very sacred premises of PGP Hall, which is very well attached to the famed temple of Srinivasa Perumal. I am extremely indebted to Srinivasan Mama and to all the Astikas, of course, to have come on a Thursday evening. So Gita Acharya is going to speak for a Guru Varam. And this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. That's said with the Dhyana Shlokas. It's been like 13 years since I've started giving Pravachanam, Upanyasam, Harikatha, both in English and in my mother tongue Tamil, in various forums. And I've mustered a lot of courage to speak on the Bhagavad Gita for the first time here. So, this is in a way my Arangetram on Bhagavad Gita. In Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam, we have the tradition of undergoing Kalakshepam, which is traditional learning of the esoteric scriptures at the lotus feet of our Acharyas. And there are 4 granthas. It is called Grantha Chatushtayam. One is Sri Bhashyam, the commentary to the Brahma Sutras by Bhagavad Ramanuja. Second is called Gita Bhashyam, which is the commentary to Bhagavad Gita by Bhagavad Ramanuja. Third is a grantham called Rahasya Trayasaram, which is a commentary on the 3 Rahasyas which is taught in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya by the famed Acharya Vedanta Deshika. And fourth is the tradition of learning the message of Thiruvaimozhi, which is a compendium of 1000 plus verses, which is regarded as the quintessence of the Samavedam as composed in Tamil by Swami Nammalvar with its 11 commentaries. So this is called Grantha Chatushtayam, and there is a traditional way of learning it under very, very learned acharyas. So for Gita Bhashyam, this humble self had the opportunity to learn under Mahamahopadhyaya, the highest award given in Sanskritam, which was awarded to my Acharya, Srivatsankacharya. He was the erstwhile principal of the Madras Sanskrit College, and I had to undergo Gita Bhashyam under him. But I never mustered the courage to speak in the public because Gita has to be practiced and then preached. It is just not about giving lectures, it is about practicing Gita. I still believe that I have not practiced Gita, yet I am speaking on it. Because it is Bhagavad Vakyam. In Sanatana Dharma, Bhagavad Gita is hailed because it is the voice of Bhagavan. It is Bhagavan Vacha. When that Bhagavan Vacha comes, my Acharya used to state that you should get horripilation because it is Bhagavan who is speaking. So how much of responsibility we should have. But then, Simhapuri has given the courage of Simham to me and made me speak on the words of Yadava Simham, who's Krishna. That said, people who are accustomed to listening to my lectures both in English and Tamil on topics like Srimad Ramayanam, Sri Mahabharatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Vishnu Puranam may find this slightly different. I wouldn't use the word tough. You have to come for 2 more days. But as you listen, you'll get used to that toughness. One. Second thing is, I'm sure Google Acharya, who's the Prathamacharya in all the paramparas today, will, through the Navina Yantram called Kaivalyam. What is Kaivalyam? Kaivalyam, Kevala Jnanam iti Kaivalyam. I. So we have iPhone, iPad, that is Kevala Yantram. So through that Yantram, you can follow the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. If you have apps like Notability and so on, you can use your stylus or Apple pen to take notes. If you've got a traditional book and a pen that incidentally has the ability to write, you can take notes. But if you are like the blotting paper or a sponge that can absorb what is being said with just once, like Ekasanta Grahi, you are absolutely free to listen without having any of these in your hand. Then and there I will be reading out the Bhashyam lines because that is the traditional way of undergoing Gita. It is not about giving my perspective. My perspective doesn't matter. It is only Krishna's perspective that matters. Now, some of you may have been used to understanding Bhagavad Gita from management perspective, Bhagavad Gita for manufacturing CEOs, Bhagavad Gita for school-going children. These are the topics on Bhagavad Gita. But in my learning from my acharyas, Bhagavad Gita is meant only for moksha. Whether you want it for management, manufacturing, boutique consulting, strategic consulting, you want to do a SWOT analysis with it, you want to understand Maslow's hierarchy with it, you want to understand the Mendeleev's periodic table better with it, is left to you. I will be speaking what Krishna has said to Arjuna. My perspective of seeing it from SWOT analysis, this is strength, so I motivate you. This is not a motivational lecture. You get motivated or not. This is Bhagavad Gita. The commencement. How do we understand Bhagavad Gita? I'll give an introduction to Gita so that our process becomes easier. 3 granthas in Sanatana Dharma is accorded a very high status. That status which is given to the 3 works, 1 is Upanishads. Upanishaditi Upanishadaha. It takes you very close to Parabrahman. So it is called Upanishad. Upanishaditi. It takes you very close. You're very close to Parabrahman, yet you need to take that extra step. So that is Upanishad. There is no one author for the Upanishads. Upanishad forms the last part of Vedas. It is called Vedas Antima Bhagam. So Upanishad is also called Vedantam. You must have heard of the word Vedanta. Vedanta is Veda's Antima Bhagam, the first three. See, every word of what I say is important, because tomorrow when I discuss, say, verse 17, I will be discussing this. So, there is a statement in Tamil, building strong, foundation weak. That should not happen. So, foundation should be laid now. So, the first three bhagams are called Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita. These are the first three portions of every Veda. Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita. These three together constitute the Karma Bhagam. The last part, the fourth part or the last part of every Veda is the Vedanta. Vedanta is also called Upanishad. This Upanishad or Vedanta is called Jnana Bhagam, Jnana Kandam. So the first three is Karma Kandam. The last, which is the Upanishad or the Vedanta, is the Jnana Kandam. So there are two Kandams, Karma Kandam and Jnana Kandam. Karma has three Bhagams, Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita. Jnana Kandam has Upanishad. So Upanishad doesn't have an author. There could be a cluster, a consortium of authors. Who are they? The Maharishis. The Maharishis have been very benevolent. They are also very selfless. They have never added their name to the Upanishad Bhagam. So at times you may have names like Gargi, Maitreyi and so on, but we don't have an exact one authorship to Upanishads. Now certain words of Upanishads, now I've covered Upanishad Bhagam, I've just taken a line portion here. Certain keywords from Upanishads and certain key lines, Mahavakyams, not these lines are not the only lines, but we have certain important lines from the Upanishads taken and certain words taken and strung together. When they are strung together, it becomes a line. A line or a mala is called sutram. I am sure we will understand the word Mangalya Sutram. Sutram means a garland. A mala. It is a sutram. Now if the words are taken from Upanishads, it is called Vedanta Sutram or Brahma Sutram. So the first is Upanishads, second is Vedanta Sutras or Brahma Sutras. Now we have an author for the Brahma Sutras unlike the Upanishads. Who is the author? Badarayana or Vedavyasa. So Purvacharya Surakshitam Bahumatim Vyaghata Durasthitam. So we have Badarayana or Vedavyasa as the author of the Brahma Sutras. Now, the same Upanishadic lines were taken and put like sugar cane and the essence was taken. The essence of the Upanishads is Bhagavad Gita. So, we have Jnana Kandam called Upanishads. Words from the Jnana Kandam became the Brahma Sutras or the Vedanta Sutras. The essence of the Upanishads became Bhagavad Gita. So, it is a triangle. This is the holy triangle. So, we have Brahma Sutras, Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. Together they constitute Prasthanatrayam. What is Prasthanatrayam? So there is a ocean or there is a river of knowledge going on, and we have all been river valley civilizations, and in the days of the yore we must have heard of people going to the rivers and taking bath. So there will be a few steps here and there where you can walk down the steps, take bath and come. That is called Ghattam in Sanskritam. So that becomes Ghat today. You must have heard of this word Ghat. That is Ghattam. Ghattam is a portion where you walk down, take bath and come. In Kashi Kshetram we must have heard of Bindu Madhava Ghattam. We must have heard of Dashashwamedha Ghattam. That is, today it is called Ghat, like how Ganga became Ganges. Similarly, Ghattam became Ghat. So that is Ghattam. So we have Purandaradasa who says in Kannada, Bindu Madhavana Ghattake Hoguve Tare Bindigeya Taraka Bindige Naniri Hoguve Tare Bindigeya Bindu Madhava Ghatta. So when the river of knowledge goes, there are three ghattams from which we can take bath. The river is not Ganga or Kaveri. It is the river of knowledge about Parabrahman. There are three places where we can safely walk down and take bath. What are they? Upanishads, Ghattam 1. Ghattam 2, Brahma Sutras. Ghattam 3, Bhagavad Gita. For Upanishads, there is no one author. For Brahma Sutras, Badarayana or Veda Vyasa is the author. For Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Swayam Sakshat Bhagavan is the author. So in the third Ghattam Upanishad, we are going to get down the steps and take one small bath and come in one chapter. Now what is the premise for Bhagavad Gita? We must have heard about the war that happened between the sons of Dhritarashtra, the sons of Pandu, called the Pandavas. See, remember, we generally say the war was between Pandavas and Kauravas. Pandavas were also Kauravas. If you are the descendant of Kuru, you are called Kaurava. Both the sons of Pandu and the sons of Dhritarashtra were the descendants of Kuru. So they were Kauravas. So if you call Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva as the sons of Pandu, as Pandavas, rightfully Duryodhana et al. Are the sons of Dhritarashtra, so they were called Dhartarashtras. So this war happened between the sons of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. So the war was between Dhartarashtras and Pandavas. And we must see, Bhagavad Gita generally we say it is a compendium of the dialogue that happened between Krishna and Arjuna. But incidentally, Bhagavad Gita doesn't begin or end with either of them. It begins with the verse of Dhritarashtra and ends with the word of Sanjaya. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha is Dhritarashtra Vakyam. And the last verse of Bhagavad Gita is Sanjaya Vakyam. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha. So, whenever you give 1.5 carat solitaire studs, it is placed in a dabba, a box. The opening of the box is Dhritarashtra, the basement is Sanjaya, and the solitaire diamond that you see is the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. And in that essence of words, what happened? Krishna said that I will be your charioteer, because the agreement was Krishna will not fight the war. That was the boon taken by Duryodhana with the instructions given by his Kekeya Gandhara uncle called as Shakuni. Shakuni said Krishna should not fight the war. And Krishna happily agreed. He said, let me also take some rest. Let me not fight the war. Then what was the only job available if you are not going to fight the war? The only job available was to take the job of a charioteer. He was more than happy to take the job of a charioteer, and Arjuna was happy because media will cover them a lot. Because the only warrior on the battlefield with an extremely overqualified charioteer was Arjuna. Because he had Sakshat Bhagavan as his Sarathi. So Krishna became the Sarathi. And Gita Jayanti Foundation, the Astikas of Simhapuri believe in equality. That is why if you see, Krishna and Arjuna are given the same level. But originally in the battlefield it did not happen. Krishna was seated a few inches down. So much so that the Acharyas have commented that Arjuna's footwear used to rub on the shoulders of Krishna. So this was the respect that he gave to his teacher then in Dwapara Yuga. We have to ask about Kali Yuga. So Krishna was seated way below. So when I went for college, the concept of lecture theatre complex, where you have an amphitheatre like structure and the teacher is down and every step goes up and the students are seated levels above. So I used to say this is Gita Upadesha, because Acharya is somewhere down. So Krishna had to ride the chariot. Day one, even the war had not even begun. That is when the doubt began. See, now all of us, immaterial of age, have become Prashna Chakravarti. We have all qualified ourselves in questioning. Just now the MC, Maharagi, she said 110 questions have come till now. I don't know how I'll answer. 14 more questions you add, it becomes Yaksha Prashnam. Yaksha Prashnam had 124 questions. Day 1, the number of verses in Navamodhyayam is only 34. But 110 questions have come. So we have all become experts in questioning. And who is our predecessor? Arjuna. Even before the Yuddham had begun, he had questions. So he first commanded Krishna, Ratham Sthapaya Achyuta, go place the chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Duryodhana was a bit startled, he was even petrified because the Yuddham had to begin. Why is this man coming with the chariot in the middle? And that too, if Krishna rides, there will be something tricky there. So that is when Arjuna said, I will not fight the war because I will be killing my own relatives. One is B positive, one is A positive. They are all of the same blood. How can I kill them? That is when, what did Krishna have to say? Krishna had to say, Arjuna, I command you. The Holy Father now commands, now start fighting. He should have said. Instead, he started giving lectures of 700 verses. That is the topic of our day today. Middle of the battlefield. So, Bhagavad Gita was not rendered in some lecture theatre complex. In the middle of the battlefield, when all of them were ready to fight, Krishna in a very cool manner renders 700 verses. Those 700 verses have been housed in 18 chapters. Where is it housed? Mahabharatam. What is Mahabharata's other name? Jaya. Narayanam namaskritya naranchaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayam udirayed. Mahabharatam is also called Jaya. Probably the name given by Vyasa is Jaya. Why? Ja is the 8th letter in Sanskrita Katapayadi Sankhya. 8. Ya is 1. Are you aware of that? Yes, no, you have to tell yes. How many of you don't know this? I'll explain. Okay. So in Devanagari Lipi, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, ta, tha, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So the last sounds will be nya, nga, nya, na, na. That sound is very, very important to understand Samskrita Jnanam. So every letter has a number. So if you take Ja, so we have the number 8. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja. Ja is 8. So Ja is 8. What is Ya? Ya, ra, la, va. Ya is 1. So Ja, Ya corresponds to 81. Whereas in Samskrita Katapayadi Sankhya, whatever number you get, you have to reverse it. So 81 becomes 18. That is why in Sri Mahabharatam you have 18 parvas. Bhagavad Gita has 18 adhyayas. The number of units of the battle Akshauhinis that fought was 11 on the Kauravas side, Dhritarashtra's side, 7 on the Pandavas side. 11 plus 7, 18. Anything in Mahabharata will have 18. So it is called Jaya, otherwise known as Mahabharatam. So in the 18 parvas of Sri Mahabharatam, the parva is called Bhishma Parva. In Bhishma Parva, day 1, Krishna brings the essence of the Upanishads called Bhagavad Gita, housed in 18 adhyayas of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. This is the premise. That said, I have understood from the organizers that the last year it was Sankhya Adhyaya, right? Sankhya Yogam. So you have got Vidya Adhyaya. Now we are going to go to the Navamodhyayam, 9th chapter. There are 34 verses in this chapter. By the time I have finished my introduction, 24 minutes is gone. Right? This is the introduction. Now, I have been given the task to speak about all these verses in detail. Let's see how we can go about it. First, Upasaka Bheda Nibandhana Visheshaha Pratipaditaha Idani Upasasya Paramapurushasya Mahatmyam Jnaninam Visheshamcha Vishodhya Bhakti Rupasya Upasanasya Swarupam Uchyate. So the commentator says, Upasaka Bheda Nibandhanartam. So we have discussed, see, you must have heard in or seen in some of the school chapters, there will be one standard line, as discussed in the previous chapters. Now for that we must have discussed the previous chapters. To even make this statement sound true, we must have discussed. So I'll give you an essence. The 18 chapters are divided into shatkams. If you have a pen, you have to make note of it. Gita is not an easy lecture to understand. It is Sakshat Bhagavad Vakyam. It is a test even for the speaker and the listener. So there are Shatkams. Shat Shabdeti, 6. Shatkam is a group of 6. So you have 3 groups of 6. Chapter 1 to chapter 6. Chapter 7 to chapter 12. Chapter 13 to chapter 18. So the first set of 6 chapters is called Prathama Shatkam. So what does that talk about? It talks about 2 yogams, Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam. Chapter 7 to chapter 12 talks about the second yogam, the third yogam called Bhakti Yogam. Chapter 13 to chapter 18 clears the doubts that have arisen in the first 12 chapters. I will give you one easy example. See, some of the examples that I give may largely have a very, very South Indian context. I will try covering some cuisines of the North as well. For now, let me get one general recipe. It is of khichdi, dal khichdi. In the South, we call it pongal. Very similar. So somebody comes and asks, sir, how do we make dal khichdi? What will be my step 1? I will tell ingredients. Correct. I'll say, take half a cup of tur dal, half a cup of this next dal, then take some chopped chilies, then have some few coriander leaves chopped well, then take little rice, then take some oil for the seasoning. You know, there should be a certain voice and the poise with which I should say a recipe. I can't do all of that now. You add all that background music to yourself. So I have to tell all these ingredients. This is step 1. Step 2 is I have to tell how to do this. Then I'll say take a pan, take some oil, heat it, put the mustard seeds in it, and as they start moving here and then there is a crackling of the mustard seeds, then add this dal, add some water and steam it. Then after telling the first set of ingredients and then the procedure how to make it, then I realize, oh, I forgot to tell how to take that dal. That dal should be of this particular variety. I should have told that take gingerly oil and not groundnut oil. So I clear the doubts in step 1 and step 2. That is step 3. Similarly, Krishna gave Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam in first 6 chapters. Then he detailed about Bhakti Yogam in the next 6 chapters. Then he realized in Karma Yogam, Jnana Yogam and Bhakti Yogam there will be doubts. He cleared those doubts in chapter 13 to chapter 18. So we have these sets. In that we are in the 9th chapter, which comes in the Madhyama Shatkam, the second Shatkam. In that chapter 7 and chapter 8 have already spoken some aspects of Bhagavad Gita, which is Bhakti Yoga. The 9th chapter is called Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam. So the Vyakhyata says, Upasaka Bheda Nibandhana Visheshaha. I have already discussed what Krishna has spoken about different devotees, Upasaka Bhedaha. Remember, these words you have to remember to understand Gita well. What is Upasana? If you go to Google Acharya, Upasana means worship. Wrong. In Bhagavad Gita context, Upasana means Bhakti Yogam. Bhakti Yogam has 2 names. Upasana or Sadhana. These are the 2 names for Bhakti Yogam that Krishna states. So he says that I have already discussed about 4 classes of people. Who are the 4 classes of people? He says, Chaturvida bhajante ma jana sukriti norjunaha arto jignasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. Jnani cha bharatarshabha. O descendant of Bharata, hey Arjuna, there are 4 classes of people who propitiate me. Who are they? Artaha, Jignasuhu, Artharthi, Jnani. Remember these 4 words. This comes in the previous chapter. Artaha. What does Artaha mean? Bhrashtaishwarya Kamaha. That is, have you heard of this Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam? That verse will come in this chapter. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam LIC. You have seen that LIC advertisement? So if I say Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, nobody will remember Krishna. So that Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. What is Yogam? What is Kshemam? Yogam, Prashtaishwaryam, that is, if you receive something that you have never expected in your life, that is called Yogam. You have never expected that. It is very beneficial to you. It does please you. It brings you immense happiness. That is Yogam. In the South Indian context, if you have serendipity, something like a lottery, they'll say, Yoga adichadu. Have you heard of this word? Yoga adichadu means you never expected that. And that too, if you're from the state of Kerala, you'll be very quick to understand lottery very well. So, if you receive something which pleases you, which makes you happy, but you never expected, it is called Yogam. But what you have received should stay with you. Imagine, today you never expected Motichur Laddu. I'll give you a very mundane example. Motichur Laddu is your path to Brahmananda, Moksha. You have one or two, you live in this Leela Vibhuti. You have 3 or 4, you will be Nitya Vibhuti. So, you never expected Motichur Laddu. Imagine you are intently listening to Bhagavad Gita lecture. Somebody just passes by and gives you Motichur Laddu. You never expected, but it is pleasing to you. So, it is yoga. But you can't consume because your HbA1c is 8.5. Then there is no kshemam, because if you receive something that you never expected, it is yogam. But what you have received in the form of yogam should stay with you. Then only it is kshemam. You're able to get the definition of yoga kshemam. So Krishna tells Arjuna, if you propitiate me through bhakti yoga, Arjuna, you will receive that bliss, yogam, and that will stay with you, kshemam, yoga kshemam vahamyaham, he says. So the one who receives wealth, material wealth, which the person, he or she, never expected, then that person is called arthaha. Category 1. Artharthi, the one who receives new form of wealth, is called artharthi. So arthaha and artharthi together are called Aishwarya Kamanishta. They want material pleasure. Second category is called Jignasu. Jignasu means the one who wishes to understand Atma better. Atma Anubhavam and Atma Sakshatkaram alone will suffice if a person says that Kevala Jnanam. Kevala means alone. In Sanskritam, Kevala means alone. Again, in the Tamil context, if you want to discard something, Kevalam. Not that Kevalam. Kevalam means alone. The Jivatma Jnanam alone suffices. It is called Kevala Jnanam Kaivalyam. So the one who desires Atma Jnanam Kaivalyam is called Jignasu. You go one step higher. You have understood the Jivatma better. You want to understand Paramatma even more. Then you are called Jnani. So Krishna gives 4 classes. Artaha, Jignasu, Artharthi, Jnani. Artaha and Artharthi come under one category, desiring material pleasure. Jignasu comes under Atma Sakshatkaram Kaivalya Jnanam. Jnani comes under the last called Paramatma Sakshatkaram Brahmabhuta Jnanam. Then he is called as Jnani. So we have got 3 classes of people. But Krishna makes that first class into part A, part B. What do you think? See, this is Bhagavad Gita. You will understand it better when probably you take notes. That is why I'm repeatedly telling you. See, there is a science to even taking notes, because your physical body is in contact with that pen and you write, right? It does have an effect. So these are the 4 classes. This is what Krishna tells Arjuna. Arjuna, I have discussed all of this in the previous chapters. I have given you that essence. Now I have to begin the 9th chapter. Upasaka Bheda Nibandhana. Upasana is what? 2 minutes 30 seconds before I say. Bhakti Yogam. So the one who does Bhakti Yogam or Upasana is called Upasaka. Upasana is Strilingam. That is why many women these days have that name, Upasana. Upasana is Strilingam. Upasaka is Pullingam. So the one who practices Bhakti Yogam called Upasana is called Upasaka. So he says, Upasaka Bheda. You will understand Sanskritam like a cakewalk from now on. Upasaka Bheda Nibandhana. The classes of Bhaktas, Visheshaha Pratipaditaha Idani. Hey Arjuna, from now on, Upasasya Paramapurushasya. Now, I do Bhakti Yoga. The next question is to whom? See, for example, you generally say a generic statement. I meditate. A novice will ask, on whom? On what? So the one to whom you do upasana is prameyam. Sir, again I'll try my level best. There are 4 words that you must get used to, because only if your paribhasha is good, your vocabulary is good, we can continue with Bhagavad Gita. 4 words. Prama, Pramanam, Pramata, Prameyam. Prama means knowledge. Prama means knowledge. Quintessential knowledge is called Prama. The Grantham that gives you Prama, that dispenses knowledge to you, is called Pramanam. Through that Grantham, you understand the object of your knowledge. The object of your knowledge is called Prameyam. The one who understands the object of the knowledge called Prameyam through the Pramanam is called Pramata. So knowledge is Prama. For example, let's take Ramayanam. The knowledge is Prama. The knowledge comes to you in the form of a Grantham, a scripture called Ramayanam. So Ramayanam is Pramanam. Whom do you understand through Ramayanam? Sita Rama. So Sita Rama is the object of your knowledge. So it is Prameyam. Who reads Ramayanam to understand Sita Rama? Us. So we are Pramata. Prama, Pramanam, Prameyam, Pramata. 4 words. Upasana, Bhakti Yogam. The one who practices Upasana, Upasaka. Those 2 words clear? Idani, Upasasya Paramapurushasya Mahatmyam. Krishna tells Arjuna in chapter 7 and chapter 8, which most of the Astikas in Simhapuri Arjuna will read online. He tells, Paramapurushasya Mahatmyam. Now I am going to discuss in this 9th chapter the greatness of me. What is this? Self-loathing he does. He talks about himself, what to do. Krishna, see, he wanted others to talk about him. As usual, we humans will never talk about Paramatma. Paramatma himself came and said, I know about you people, I will talk about myself. And then he starts Paramapurushasya Mahatmyam. So he talks about Paramapurushaha. Jnaninam Vishesham. Some time back, 3 minutes back, I said there is a 4th category of Upasaka called Jnani. Jnani is the one who desires to know Paramatma Sakshatkaram. So Krishna talks exclusively only about Jnanis in this chapter. Vishodhya Bhakti Rupasya Upasanasya Swarupam Uchyate. I will also tell you, Arjuna, about the Swarupam. Rupam is different from Swarupam. Do you want me to explain Rupam and Swarupam? Rupam is external appearance. For example, if somebody comes, you have to say, who is the speaker? Rupam is okay. External appearance is just okay. So this Rupam is the external way that you showcase yourself. What you see through the Pancha Bhautika Shariram is Rupam. What is the innate feature is Swarupam. The innate characteristics, that is Swarupam. You call it nature in English. Certain words, English as a language also tries to get better by the day. So certain words are useful like nature, realization. For some words you should never translate from Sanskritam to English. It will be a big disaster, it will be a catastrophe. So don't ever do that. Retain certain words. Rupam, Swarupam. So he says 3 things are discussed in this 9th chapter. What are they? First, he says Paramapurushasya Mahatmyam, the greatness of Paramapurusha, Paramatma. Second, Jnaninam Vishesham, the greatness of Paramatma Sakshatkara devotees called Jnani. Third, Bhakti Rupa Upasanasya, the nature of Bhakti Yogam, Bhakti Rupam. So these are the 3 things that are discussed. Now, how should a chapter be? So there is a definition given to every chapter. The definition is Upakrama Upasamharo. See, you make a corporate presentation. You should begin with the same agenda and conclude it with the same agenda. Any speech, it should be very clear with what words you say. The poise with which you pause, the pronunciation with which you use, your body language, your eye contact, everything matters. You should not keep your eye down, you should not scratch your head, you should not keep looking up, and you should not speak at a pace where nobody understands. It should not be at a baritone where somebody has to travel and dig deep like the trenching method to understand what those words are. It should not be very high pitched. It should be paced properly. So this is called Upakrama Upasamharo. Introduction and conclusion should be at the same pace. One. How do we understand that? Because this chapter begins, Idam tute guhyatamam. Arjuna, I am going to talk about one of the secrets to you. But if he doesn't reveal that secret, imagine, there will be many thriller movies. Initially they will give you one thrill. Dekhenge, kaun dekhta hai. They will give you some thrill. Till the end they don't reveal at all. Then you should not watch that. Towards the end you should know what that thrill is. So Krishna says, Manmanamava Bhat Bhaktaha. So he talks in the 34th verse about Bhakti Yogam. So he says, I am going to begin with a secret. He declares that secret in the 34th verse. He is a very good director. So Upakrama Upasamharo. Then he says, Abhyasa. What is Abhyasam? Abhyasam is practice. See, whenever you want your brand to get registered in your audience's mind, you keep repeating it. That is why you have very many surrogate ways of advertising in companies. They will give you that brand name in one umbrella, they will put that name in that lunchbox and they will give, and then, these are ways, interestingly in Bharata Desham, there used to be one particular liquid, I don't want to get into it, it was called Kingfisher. They had another jalam which was being sold. But to register that brand name in the people, they came up with water with the same name. See, their intent was never to sell water, mineral water. But to sell the other liquid, you have to sell it through a surrogate way. So this is the way that you do. I will give you a very simple way. For any product to be sold, there is a brand name, correct? For example, let's take even medicines. In many countries, the doctors will have to write only the generic name. They will have to write nimesulide, glibenclamide, glimepiride, metformin, then sitagliptin. They have to write the molecule. But in Bharata Desham, with my little experience, you can write the brand name. They can give you that brand name. So the sales representative of that medical company will always try giving one pen stand with that brand name, so that every time the doctor picks up that pen, that brand name should be registered. Crocin, Dolo. These are all base. Who was the first propagator of brand name? Narada Maharshi. He wanted to advertise Narayana Namam. Every step he takes, he'll say Narayana, Narayana. So this was a brand lab exercise. So you always ensure that that name registers in the mind of your prospect customers. So Krishna has to sell Bhakti Yogam to Arjuna. Every now and then he'll say Bhakti, Upasana, Sadhana, Kirtana, Bhajana. So throughout the chapter, the second rule called Abhyasam is maintained. Third, Apurvata. See, you have to, when you sell a product, you have to say how this product is. Use this particular copper bottom vessel. It was used by Tipu Sultan to make Pongal. You say such things, right? There used to be an actress with the starting letters Hey and will end with Lini, and in the middle Mall will go. So she used this particular sari by this. So you have to sell. So Krishna has to give ample examples to sell Bhakti Yogam. That is called Apurvata. So Upakrama, Upasamharo, then is Abhyasa, Apurvata, Phalam. See, now if I have to, I don't know whether it is allowed here, couscous. Is it allowed? No. Okay. In Bharata Desham it is allowed. we make one kheer out of it. To those of you who are from the south of India, there is one payasam, kheer, called Gasagasa payasam. Of the many payasams that our Purvacharyas have given to us on a golden platter, one such payasam is called as Gasagasa payasam. What is the phalam of Gasagasa payasam? Sleep. See, you have all understood well. If you have Gasagasa payasam, you will be put to sleep. So if I understand that my prospect customer doesn't sleep well despite listening to Bhagavad Gita lectures, I will tell that person, please consume Gasagasa payasam, you will surely be able to sleep. So I have to give the phalam. So for Bhakti Yogam, Krishna gives the phalam very clearly in Navamodhyayam. So that is the fourth quality. Arthavadam. Arthavadam is Prashamsa Vakyam Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. See, to sell something, I'm sure those of you who keep watching YouTube videos, about 6-7 years back there used to be one table that used to be sold in all serials. It is like Adi Shesha. If you want, you can use for your laptop. You bring it 2 steps slow, you can use for cutting vegetables. After eating food, if you want to sleep, you bring it lower, you will sleep. So there are different ways of selling a product, right? So that time you use Prashamsa Vakyam. It is called Atishayokti. Generally, parents of the Kali Yugam do that for their children. You know how my son is? If you give him a mountain, he'll lift. Mother will always want to, end up praising her son. मैं मेरे बेटे को आपके हाथों में सौंप देती हूँ, आप वोट डाल दो. Then, so all this will happen. It is called Arthavadam. Then the sixth is Upapattischa. Upapatti is reasonableness with which you do. So these are the 6 qualities that is required for the chapter. So Krishna's erudition and rendition of Navamodhyayam completes and puts a tick mark across all these features required for the Navamodhyayam. When will you begin with the first verse? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Now, again I'll stop here. Who is Bhagavan? Why should he see everywhere in Mahabharatam it is say Krishna says. Suddenly Bhishma Parva alone Vyasacharya says Bhagavan Uvacha. Only for that context. Why? Because in Vishnu Puranam there is a definition. There are 6 primary attributes required for being called a Paramatma. Jnana Bala, Aishwarya Virya, Shakti Tejas. You have to remember this. Tomorrow I'll give one question paper. Jnana Bala, Aishwarya Virya, Shakti Tejas. These are the 6 qualities required for a Paramatma, says Shakti's son, Vyasa's father, Parashara Maharishi in Vishnu Purana. Every letter has a number assigned in Sanskritam. About 17 minutes back I told you about Jaya, remember? Every letter can also denote a person. For example, Kaha. Ka. आप समझ लीजिए कि आप वो अक्षर क डाल के 2 dots डालते हैं. Kaha. Kaha in Sanskritam means Brahma. Kaha means Brahma. Mahabharatam gives the definition. Why is Krishna called Keshava? Kaha iti Brahmano nama Ishoham Sarvadehinam. Isha means Mahadeva, Shiva. Kaha means Brahma. Since Krishna accommodates Brahma, who's Kaha, and Isha, who's Shiva in his body, he is called Keshava. The root word for Keshava is Kaha iti Brahmano nama Ishoham Sarvadehinam. When Lord Krishna was born in Mathura jail, Devaki saw. So Bhagavatam verse states, Tamadbhutam balakam ambuje kshanam. She saw a little boy whose eyes were as beautiful and tender as the petals of a newly blossomed lotus. This is the word. She saw a boy. In Sanskritam you have to say balam. You should not say balakam. But Shukabrahmam says Tamadbhutam balakam. Why? Balakam definition is balaha kaha yasya sa balakaha. Balaha, that boy who gave rise to Brahma, kaha, from his nabi is called balakaha. when Krishna was born, she did not get to see only her son with 4 hands holding the weapons. She saw a lotus emerging from his navel and Brahma seated on it. Since Brahma, whose Kaha, comes from this Balaha, he is called Balakaha. So Kaha means Brahma. Mahalakshmi. See the Aksharam Ma in Sanskrit. Ma, me. We say that, right? Ma in Sanskrit means Mahalakshmi. Dhava means husband. Madhava means Mahalakshmi's husband. You get that word? So that letter has a specific connotation in Sanskritam. Now why am I using this? I told you about 6 gunams that Paramatma should have some time back. Jnana Bala, Aishwarya Virya, Shakti Tejas. The first 2 in Sanskritam, Jnana Bala, is denoted by the letter Bha. Aishwarya Virya by the letter Ga. Shakti Tejas by the letter Va. Bhagava. The one who has got 6 qualities. Shadgunya Paripurnaha iti Bhagavad. So he has got 6 qualities. Even we have qualities. If you ask parents, they will say, you know what, my son writes so beautifully. He can write extremely well. He knows every station of the metro that is used in Singapore. Do you know about my son? Correct. So these are all qualities. Then you slowly converse with the mother and father. Any bad habits? There are many. Come sit, I will tell you. So Paramatma has qualities. Jnana Bala, Aishwarya Virya, Shakti Tejas. Does he have bad qualities? Dosham? No. What in Sanskritam? Na. How do you derive the word na? By reversing the word an. An, when reversed, becomes na. So does he have good qualities? Yes. What are the good qualities? Jnana Bala, Aishwarya Virya, Shakti Tejas. How do we denote them? Bhagava. Does he have bad qualities? No. An. Bhagava, good qualities. No bad qualities. An. Bhagava plus an becomes Bhagavan. That is the derivation for the word Bhagavan that Parashara Maharshi gives. So the one who is speaking these verses to Arjuna has all the good qualities and no bad quality. Is he prosperous? Yes. Who is prosperous? Mahalakshmi. How is Mahalakshmi denoted? Shri. So it is Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The one who is prosperity personification. The one who has got good qualities and no bad qualities. That Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Krishna states. I will read out the first verse. You can repeat after me and then let's go to the meaning. Idam tute guhyatamam. Today is Ekadashi. Idam tute guhyatamam. If you have your footwear, that very place, remove it. Because you are reading Shastra Vakyam, Bhagavad Vakyam there. That respect for Krishna should be there. He is Acharya, Gita Acharya, Pratibodhitam. It is Sakshat Bhagavan's Vakyam that we are saying. Idam tute guhyatamam. Pravakshyamyana suyave. Jnanam vijnana sahitam. Yajñātva mokṣyase shubhat. I will read out the 3 lines in Sanskrit and then I will get into the meaning. Idam tu guhyatamam bhakti rupam upasanakyam jnanam vijnana sahitam upasanagata vishesha jnana sahitam anasuyavete pravakshyami mad vishayam sakala idara visajati aparimita prakaram mahatmyam shrutva evameva sambhavati manvanaya te pravakshyami ityartah yat jnanam anusthana paryantam jnatva mad prapti virodhinah sarvasmat ashubhan mokshase. This is the commentary. What did you just read, sir? Explain. Idam. See, every word is very important in Bhagavad Gita. We cannot, because it is not us who is speaking, it is Sakshat Vyasena Pratibodhitam. It is Vyasacharya who writes, Krishna who speaks. What depth it should have. Idam. He says, Idam. This. What is this? This. Remember, this indicates Bhakti Yogam that he has spoken till now. Because he has discussed in chapter 7 and chapter 8 Bhakti Yogam or Upasana or Sadhana. Now he says Idam. Hey Arjuna, Idam, this Bhakti Yogam, Tu. This Tu in Sanskritam means superiority. What is superior, sir? I don't think in this modern world you should be using words such as superior or inferior. This is against equality. Let's keep all these for our HR to handle in our companies, how you like to be call yourself and all of that. Now, Tu, here it denotes superiority. What superiority? Because Krishna has discussed Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam from chapter 1 to chapter 6. He has begun with elucidating Bhakti Yogam in chapter 7 and chapter 8, and he's still continuing in chapter 9. He has to sell Bhakti Yogam to Arjuna. So he says, you carefully listen to Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam from chapter 1 to chapter 6. What I have been discussing from chapter 7, Arjuna, is superior to Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam. So that 2 is added. Now you may ask, is there a precedent? See, I don't know about the law and its studies in Singapore, but when you listen in Bharatadesham, there is an order of precedence. When there is a case that comes to the court, you will always check if this case has come in the previous years. Similarly, the Aksharam Tu means superior. Who has said this? In Chandogya Upanishad, there is a Vakyam. Remember, at about 7:20 I said, Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Upanishads. So every now and then I have to go and touch the Upanishad and come. Otherwise it will be my commentary. I have to give you Upanishad's commentary. So in Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad is a part of which Vedam? Very good. Who said that? Oh, okay. So Samavedam. Very good. So Chandogya Upanishad is a part of Samavedam. It is a very Brihat Upanishad, very big Upanishad. Brihadaranyakam, Chandogyam are very big Upanishads, extremely important. So you have got many Brahma Vidyas coming from this Upanishad. For example, if you are not used to these technical words, don't worry, attend for 2 more days. You will get used to it. Don't leave Bhagavad Gita on day 1 itself. Or now you may start feeling, okay, I've heard Bhagavad Gita where they teach for Kali Yuga men, where it is more easy. This is the only way to read Bhagavad Gita as per traditional school. This is how we cannot say that Bhagavad Gita for management, Bhagavad Gita for school. Krishna tells moksha dharmam. He says you will get moksham through this. He doesn't advise for negotiation skills, communication skills and so on. We have become such lethargic people that we take it only for communication skills. He gives it for moksham. It is a moksha shastram. We should not reduce Bhagavad Gita to... Of course you can have management lessons. I am not denying it. But don't use Bhagavad Gita only for management. It is a moksha shastram. So he says, Tu. Yesha tuva ativadati yaha satyenadi vadati. So in Chandogya Upanishad, first Parama Jivatma's explanation is given. Then after that, the Rishi says, Yesha tuva ativadati. Now I am going to talk about Paramatma. So after discussing Jivatma, the Rishi says, I am going to discuss Paramatma. At that juncture, he says, Yesha tu. So he adds that word tu, denoting that Paramatma Jnanam is superior to Jivatma Jnanam. So Krishna uses the same Aksharam tu in this first verse, Idam tu. So he says, Bhakti Yogam is superior to Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam. Guhya Tamam. What is Guhyam? Guhyam means secret. So he says, Guhya Tamam. See, in Sanskritam, Tama Shabdeti, superlative. How do we do it in English? Positive degree of comparison, comparative degree, superlative degree. How is your son? Good. How is your daughter? Better. Right, better means you have 2 objects, Sajatiya Vastu. You know what is Sajatiyam? That also I have to deal with. One step we'll go. So if you've got a son, he's good. Daughter, she's better. Compared to who? The son. The second daughter, she is the best. So to say best, you should have more than 2 objects of the same category, Sajatiya Vastu. You cannot say, how is your son best? Better than whom? Only one son. Then how did you decide he is the best? So for best, you need to have more than 2. So here Krishna says Guhya Tamam, because in Sanskritam Tamam means superlative. Who is Purusha? The one who has got Jivatma in him. Who is Narayana? Purushottama. Tama means superlative, best amongst Purushas. Tama Shabdam. Tara means comparative. So is the secret that Krishna going to tell Arjuna good, better? No. Guhya Tamam. The best among secrets. So he says, now he's selling. I told you some time back, right? You have to sell your product. So Krishna tells Arjuna, don't tell this to anybody. Guhya Tamam. I'm going to tell you the secret, which is the best secret. Pravakshyami. He says, Idam tute guhya tamam pravakshyami. What does pravakshyami mean? If you go to Angla Bhasha, which is English, it will say, I am going to tell. That's all. But pravakshyami means prakarshena vakshyami. I am going to tell you in detail. Copy that. I am going to tell you in detail. Because he has said pravakshyami. I am going to tell you in detail. So what does Krishna say by telling you in detail? In that the Acharya remarks, Arjuna, I am expecting nothing from you. So even in Dwapara Yugam, the teacher was told never to expect anything from the student. It is the teacher's duty to say whether Arjuna follows or not, it is his own karma. Anasuyave. Now he looks at Arjuna and says, Arjuna, you have to motivate your children. See, generally these days parents have to keep on motivating the children. And now you're so good. Can you please get me a glass of water for 1 glass of water? You have to motivate the child. You're extremely good. What kind of Purva Janma karma I have done to have you as my son? Paramatma has chosen this fortunate Jivatma to rest in this Pancha Bhautika Sharira. Please get me water. For that 1 glass of water, you have to praise. Now, Krishna also has to keep motivating Arjuna, because Arjuna has lost all the energy. There is no Red Bull there. Krishna has to give that Red Bull now. So, you know, those advertisements, boost is the secret of my energy, our energy. He has to boost that energy. So he says, Anasuyave. Hey Arjuna, Anasuyave. Asuya in Sanskrit means jealousy. Anasuya means without feeling jealous. What is jealousy? For that there is a definition. Asuya means to find faults with good habits. Jealousy, for the word asuya, Acharya gives finding faults with good habits. The father or the mother with so much love ingrained in what they make, they cook for their son and daughter. The father and mother, father or mother. You can use both A union B or A union B whole complement, whichever. So the father or mother cook for their son or daughter. But the son and daughter may find fault. Well, it's just okay. I don't know. Maitreyi gets it better and never have happened. Purni makes it better. So the child keeps telling. Now, with the food, the child is able to find mistakes. In good habits, you find mistakes. That is called asuya. You go for 2 years of military training and come back. After that, you will say that this food is the best. That asuya goes. In that state only, Bhagavad Gita should be heard. Anasuya ve. You should hear Bhagavad Gita not with asuya. Anasuya. Anasuya ve. So Krishna tells Arjuna. Now Arjuna will ask, right, Krishna, how did you even decide that I am Anasuya? Krishna says, see, for all these time, I have been telling 8 chapters. You neither frowned nor even gave me a dirty look. You gave me a pleasant smile and you listened. That itself says that you are Anasuya ve. Hey Arjuna, listen further. So Krishna is trying to motivate. He says, Anasuya ve. Then Bhagavan starts advising Arjuna. What does he say? Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. Jnanam. Again, Jnanam here means, we'll say knowledge. You go to any English translation. The knowledge. What knowledge? Is it Mendeleev periodic table knowledge? No. Bhakti Yogam's knowledge. You remember chapter 7 and chapter 8, he has been discussing only Bhakti Yogam. That Bhakti Yogam's knowledge, which is knowledge about Bhakti Yogam, Jnanam, Vijnanam. Don't ever put your interpretations for Bhagavad Gita. Vijnana means science. So he is discussing science. So in those days, Krishna discussed about physics and chemistry. No. Now we have to dance to the tunes of the liberal gallery today. How was your darshanam at Rama Mandiram? What should you say? Rama was extremely beautiful to look at. What great saubhagyam I had to see Rama. But to sound liberal and to sound extremely sophisticated, you have to say, the energy that I got in that temple, and the momentum, and the mass, and the acceleration. He might have flunked in physics, but he will use all these terms now. Mass, acceleration, energy, momentum, to just prove that he's extremely cool and liberal about it. Sorry. Use certain words used by Purvacharyas. You don't get a few notches down by saying so. So here, Krishna clearly says that I'm discussing Bhakti Yogam. So what is Vijnanam? Jnanam is Bhakti Yogam. Krishna tells Arjuna, hey Arjuna, Anasuyave, the one who's bereft of jealousy, listen now, I'm going to speak Jnanam. Jnanam is knowledge about Bhakti Yogam. Vijnanam is the distinguishing characteristic features of Bhakti Yogam. That is called Vishesha Jnanam Vijnanam. It is not science. It is the distinguishing features of Jnanam. So it is called Vijnanam. He says Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. I am going to discuss Bhakti Yogam and the distinguishing features of Bhakti Yogam. But again, beware. Krishna uses these two words already in the 7th chapter. He says, Jnanam teham sa vijnanam. 7th chapter, he has said Jnanam teham sa vijnanam. What does Jnanam teham sa vijnanam there mean? No. Jnanam vijnanam teham sa vijnanam doesn't mean Bhakti Yogam there. There Jnanam means knowledge about Paramatma. Vijnanam in 7th chapter means the distinguishing features of Paramatma. What are the features of Paramatma? Again, we are going to get into a few words. It is called Swarupa Nirupaka Dharmam and Nirupita Swarupa Vishesham. 10 people will exit this auditorium now. I'll write a name. Nasar, Summa simple, very complicated. We have to learn. What do I do? That is how the commentary is. What is Swarupa Nirupaka Dharmam? There is an Upanishad Vakyam. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. This is the Upanishad Vakyam. What is Brahmam? Brihatvacha Brahmanatvacha. Write this definition. Brihatvat. Brahmanatvat. What? Why is Paramatma called Brahmam? It is big. It makes the one that approaches it also big. So it is called Brahmam. Don't confuse the word Brahmam and Brahma. There is one general shloka. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Guruhu Sakshat, Param Brahma, not Parabrahma. Absolutely wrong. It is Param Brahma. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So Brahma Shabdam. Now I'll get into this Brahma Shabdam. Little Sanskritam we learn now. What is the spelling that we write in English for Brahman? Brahma. Correct? What do you all write? Brahma. In Singapore that you write it that way. So if you pronounce it the way it is written, how should you pronounce? Brahma. Correct? But you see, when you pronounce, inadvertently you will put the sound of M first. Brahma. Why? There is a problem. See, when you write it in Sanskritam, if you don't know the lipi, it's okay, I'll just explain. How many of you know Devanagari? So you put Ba and you put one line, so it becomes Bra. Then you put half Ma, correct? And before that you put half Ha. Half Ha and half Ma. Now Panini has given a rule. Who is Panini? One of the greatest grammarians in Sanskritam. He has given one rule. When Ha joins with one of the last sounds, you remember Ka, Ka, Ga, Ga, Nga, Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Nya, ta tha da tha na, ta tha da tha na, nga nya na na. Correct? What is the next line? Ma. Correct? That is the last aksharam. Join her with this. Her plus nga, there is no usage. Her plus nya, there is no usage. Her plus ma, there is a usage. Correct? So in Brahma Shabdam, we use her first and ma later. In that case, Panini says, pronounce that word. Pronounce the word the way it is written. Brahma. So the ha sound comes from the epiglottis. So Panini says, it doesn't sound good. Reverse the sound, he says. So it is Brahma. That time you don't have to use your epiglottis. So whenever you have the sound, for example, vanhi, you don't say vahni. You say vanhi. Though it is written as ha and na, the sound takes precedence. Similarly, Brahmam means the one who is big and makes the one who approaches it big. That is why in Bengaluru we have Brihat Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike BBMP. What work they do, you should go ask them. Then in Mumbai, you have BMC, Brihat Mumbai Corporation. Brihat, they have all read Upanishads before giving that name. Brihat means big. That is why in Tanjavur, Shiva is called Brihat Ishvara, Brihadishvara. Right? Brihat Shabdam. Now, Upanishad says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahmam, Parabrahmam, has three features. Satyatvam, Jnanatvam, Anantatvam. What is Satyatvam? The one who is not controlled by karma. See, for example, we are born to our parents. Did Paramatma ask us in Vaikuntham, whose child would you like to be? Choose your parents right now. Do you want them from Antilia? Do you want them from Gopalapuram? Paramatma may ask, right? So, do you want? No such choice was asked. We were born. Later we got to know that this is my mother, this is my father. Whether I like them or not, I have to accept them. Whether they like me or not, they have to accept me. Why? Because my birth is as a result of my Purva Janma karma. I am born as a result of karma. So it is karma deenam. Whereas when the Lord chooses to be born as the son of Dasharatha, he has no such karma rule. Ichha deenam. Pitaram rochayamasa tatha Dasharatham drupam. He said, Lakshmi, I am going to go to Ayodhya and Dasharatha is going to be my father. I will be known as D. Rama. Take care. I'll see you soon in Mithila. Let's meet till then. Take care. See ya. Mwah. Right? He is born as a result of his ichha. When Parabrahmam is not born as a result of karma, like us, unlike us, and he is born as a result of his ichha, that quality is called Satyatvam. How is his knowledge? See, let's come to our knowledge. It is a discussing point, of course. What is our knowledge? Generally, you ask, if a person says, I've done my bachelor's in chemistry. You go ask, what is potassium permanganate? Sorry, I've done my bachelor's in organic chemistry, which means he doesn't know inorganic chemistry. Then you talk about benzene resonance stabilization. Oh, that came in the first year. So he doesn't know that benzene stabilization in organic chemistry. Morrison and Boyd, I gave away that book. So the point is, whatever we claim as our knowledge is also deficient in us. And we say that, we used to have something called out of syllabus. You will get grace marks for that. We'll be waiting. One question should come out of syllabus because you get 2 marks from that. So for us, most of the topics are out of syllabus. But Parabrahmam cannot say that. If you go ask Parabrahmam, tell me about benzene, out of syllabus. Then how is he Paramatma? He will also become Jivatma. Paramatma should know about everything at all points in time. So it is called, there is no Sankocha Vikasam. His knowledge is not curtailed nor expanded. It is as is. That quality of Parabrahmam, to have qualities always, knowledge always, is called Jnanatvam. Now, so imagine you have left your children or your counterparts in your house and you have come. You have forgotten about how they are. Now I remind you, have you switched off your gas? Now you will be worried whether I have switched off or not. Our eyes cannot travel that far because Desha Kala Rahityam, you are curtailed by space and time. If that is ananta, infinite, then that quality is called anantatvam. So satyatvam, jnanatvam, anantatvam. These are the qualities. That is why Upanishad says Parabrahmam has these three. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. These are inseparable from Parabrahmam. So it is called as Swarupa Nirupaka Dharmam. But is that Parabrahmam very accessible to us? Absolutely. While Krishna Avataram, he was just like us, played, took one pot, broke that, applied that butter all over him. That Parabrahmam is so accessible. Yes. This quality is called Saushiliyam. These qualities that make Parabrahmam very accessible to us is called Nirupita Swarupa Visheshanam. Adjectives that make Parabrahmam very closer. So in the chapter 7 when Krishna says Jnanam Teham Sa Vijnanam, Jnanam means the qualities of Paramatma, Vijnanam means the special features of Paramatma. Whereas in chapter 9 he says Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. Jnanam means Bhakti Yogam and Vijnanam means the special characteristics of Bhakti Yogam. Idam Tute Guhyatamam. I am going to talk about the very superior, best of secrets, Arjuna. Pravakshyam Anasuyave. I am going to talk in depth. Hey Arjuna, Anasuyave, the one who is bereft of jealousy. Arjuna asked, what are you going to talk about? Jnanam, which is Bhakti Yogam. Vijnana Sahitam, the distinguishing features of Bhakti Yoga. Yajñātva mokshase shubhat. Yajñātva. Yajñānam anusthāna paryantam jñātva. By knowing and practicing accordingly. See what the commentator says is, jñātva doesn't mean knowing. See, for example, you go to an ophthalmologist. The ophthalmologist does that test. They'll keep on putting that lenses. Can you see now? Can you see now? Read those aksharams H, A, B. After that they say, there is a problem. There is astigmatism in your eyes and you need to have a cylindrical power. And there is a short sight as well. You need to put your lenses on. Now I realize, I say, yes, there is problem in my eye. I have to put the lenses and I don't put the lenses. Will I be able to see? Just by knowing you cannot do. You have to do anushtanam. Anushtanam means you have to correct that. I have to go to a spectacles shop, buy one lens for at least $120, then fit all those lenses, and then when I put it, that mistake is corrected. So knowing alone will not suffice, Arjuna. You have to practice. Yajñātva. Jñātva means know and practice. So that knowing and practicing is very important. Ashubhat. Only when you know and practice, Ashubhat will go. What is Shubham? What is Shubham? Good. End, sir. If you end it now, we'll be happy. Shubham. I got it. What is Shubham? Shubham means auspicious, good. Ashubhat, that which is inauspicious. See, generally in Shri Suktam, have you heard of Shri Suktam? Suktam. What is Suktam? Su-uktam. Uktam means to say. Su-uktam, which means well said. Su-uktam is Suktam. It is well said. It is well said about whom? About Mahalakshmi. Who is Mahalakshmi? Shri. Shri Rityevacha Namate Bhagavati Bhrumakkatam Stvam Vayam. Shri is Mahalakshmi. Suktam is the praise about her. Shri Suktam is Shri Suktam. Where does Shri Suktam feature? Which Vedam? Who said that? It features in Rig Vedam. It is the Khila Bhagam of Rig Vedam, the appendix portion of Rig Vedam. Note it down. Rig means a certain format in the Vedam. So it forms as the appendix portion of the Rig Vedam. It is called as Shri Suktam. In Shri Suktam, there are 3 rigs through which we pray to Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi, you come into my house by driving away your elder sister. Mahalakshmi has one elder sister. Her name is Alakshmi. Easy name. Lakshmi is Mahalakshmi. Her elder sister is Alakshmi. You know, in ancient architecture, if you go to many temples, you will see one lady, a devata, a female devata, seated with her legs extended, thick thighs, with a crow and a broomstick behind. So in ancient architecture, this was called Alakshmi. So if Lakshmi has to come, Alakshmi has to go. Alakshmi me nashyatam tvam vrine aditya varne tapasodijato vanaspatistava vrikshoda bilvaha tasya phalani upasanudantu mayantarayascha bahya Alakshmi. So Lakshmi comes, Alakshmi goes. That is why Purandaradasa says, Kanaka vrishti karayuta bare manake manava siddhi tore Dinakara koti tejati hodayuva janakarayara kumari bare bhagyada Lakshmi baramma. Bhagyada Lakshmi baramma. When you come inside our house, all my stock prices have to rise. Nothing should go southwards. So Alakshmi should never come. Lakshmi alone should come. So Lakshmi should come. Alakshmi should go. Who is Alakshmi? Ashubhat. But what does Ashubham here mean? Ashubham means Punyam and Papam. Both Punyam and Papam. Remember, sir, Papam, which is the sins that we commit, is Ashubham. How is Punyam also Ashubham? As per Sanatana Dharma Vedanta, even the Punyam that we do is Ashubham. Thank God, sir, that is why we don't do any Punyam at all. You said Punyam is Ashubham. No. Punyam is not to be done is not the implication. But if you consume that Punyam as yours, it is Ashubham. That is why Krishna says, you do Punyam, but give the Phalam to me. But then the rule should apply for Papam as well. I use a bomb, throw it, Krishna, Krishneti Samarpaya. I can do that way also. Krishna is very careful. He knows the nuances with which we can always use our elocution skills to put him down. See, that way Krishna says, Papam will not stick to me. See, we have a general notion. In Sanatana Dharma, Prahlada said, God is there. Correct? Sarvatrasti sadasti. Then immediately one great Brihaspati will ask, is he there in the western commode that I use in my washroom? Correct? If Parabrahman is there everywhere, is he there in that commode? Yes. Oh, God is there in that commode? Yes. Then will he have all the dirt over him? No. How do you prove that? No, I'll prove that to you. Have you heard of some of the Astikas who are north of India? You should try one sweet down south. It is called Tirunelveli Halwa. You don't have to wait for scoops to get moksha. One scoop. Sakshat, you can see Paramatma. You have to use loads of, you should not add ghee in this. You should add this to the ghee. You should have 2 barrels of hot ghee. Put this concoction together. You have to see it glistening. Antaraditya Paramapurusho Drishyate. Paramatma should be seen. And you should put loads of sugar. It will glisten. So it has sugar that makes it sticky. It has ghee that makes it very slippery. You give this to a person. Now, as that person wants to consume, he will be drooling and he consumes, it becomes very sticky in his hands. He puts it in his mouth. As he puts it in his mouth, some parts of it fall into his hands and feet. So the hands get sticky, the fingers get sticky, the feet get sticky, the mouth external part gets sticky. So the mother immediately gives some hand wash. Wash it immediately. He washes, he cleans it here. Then the mother says, she is a Vedanta Jnani. She says, clean your tongue. The boy will say, no, nothing happened to my tongue. She says, this is Paramatma. Why? Because the dosham of Tirunelveli Halwa was to be slippery and sticky. These are the doshams. It stuck on every body part except the tongue. So your tongue never gets slippery. How the consumption is made by the tongue. But the dosham is never attached to the tongue. Similarly, Paramatma is there in every vastu, but no dosham sticks to him. That is called dosha rahityam. Now, let us get to this Ashubha. Ashubham is Punyam. Why? Both Punyam and Papam. For example, Papam is iron fetters. Punyam is gold fetters. You are in Tihar jail. There is one example that I can give now, but I don't want to get that. I need a muffler for that. Anyways, so you are inside the jail. Okay. First you are put iron fetters and you are extremely upset. देखिए, उन्होंने मुझे साजिश के साथ उन्होंने ऐसा कर दिया, देखिए भाइयों और बहनों. Next day that person, that ruler sends golden fetters. देखिए मेरे हाथों में सोने का fetters है. Even then you are in Tihar jail only. See, the metal has changed from ferrum to aurum, Fe to Au, but still they are fetters. Papam is iron fetters. Punyam is golden fetters. You are still in that jail. So Krishna says, to realize Bhakti Yoga, first you should realize, Arjuna, that Punyam and Papam is Ashubham. So the shloka is, Idam tute guhyatamam pravakshyamya anasuyave. Hey Anasuyave, I am going to explain. Jnanam Bhakti Yogam. Vijnana Sahitam. The distinguishing features of Bhakti Yogam. Yajnatva. As you understand and practice, moksha, say you will receive moksha, but when? The prerequisite is Ashubhat, when you understand that Punyam and Papam are both inauspicious. Now Arjuna says, I'm quite excited. Don't keep giving me trailers, Krishna. Tell me, abhi main picture you come. Then he tells the second shloka. I will tell, you will repeat. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram idam uttamam. See, in Sanskritam, there is a beauty when you don't do sandhi vichedam. At times you have to let it be the way, pavitram idam uttamam. But why am I splitting that word? So that it becomes easy for you to understand. See, even in Sanskrita kritis, Shiva Kameshwarim Chintaye Ham Shiva Kameshwarim Chintaye. So, in such kritis, you should not split generally. You should say it the way. But for your understanding, I am splitting. Pavitramidam uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. See, what is the identification that you have attended a class in Bhagavad Gita or Sanskritam? The back of the person should be wet. You are seated at the back of someone. The letters in Sanskritam, you should pronounce it in such a way that you make the back of the other person wet. Amrita Varshini. Susukham Kartum Avyayam. That kha you have to stress, okay? Now I will read out the line. Raja Vidya Vidyanam Raja, Raja Guhyam Guhyanam Raja, Rajnyam Vidyeti va Raja Vidya, Rajanohi Vistirna Gadhamanasaha, Mahamanasamiyam Vidyetyartaha, Mahamanasa eva hi Gopaniya Gopana Kushala iti Tesham eva Guhyam, Idam Uttamam Pavitram, Mat Praprapti Virodha Sheshakalmasha Yaham. This is the commentary. Idam. This knowledge. What knowledge? Bhakti Yogam. Bhakti Yogam is also called Upasana. Also called Sadhana. Bhakti Yogam, Upasana, Sadhana. So Krishna says this knowledge. This means Bhakti Yogam. Idam Raja Vidya. Raja Vidya means, define this, it's easy. Raja Vidya. King? King amongst knowledge, correct? But there is a problem here. In Sanskritam, if you have to say king amongst knowledge, it is called Vidya Raja, not Raja Vidya. You are able to get Vidyanam Raja, keval Vidya Raja, not Raja Vidya. See, there is, how many of you have learned basic Sanskritam? Okay. So you have heard of the word Samasam? Tatpurusha Samasam, Bahuvrihi Samasam. So now, for example, Raja Vidya doesn't mean king amongst knowledge. If you intend to say, this is the king, the best amongst all knowledge forms, you should say Vidya Raja, not Raja Vidya. But, so do you mean to say immediately somebody, people are so impatient. Do you mean to say Krishna has made a mistake? You're anti-Hindu. Are Baba, sun to lo pehle. As per Samskrita Vyakaranam, you cannot say Raja Vidya. You have to say Vidya Raja to get the meaning king amongst knowledge. But Krishna uses Raja Vidya. How do we come to a consensus? I will give you two examples. Take this in your mind. If you have to master Sanskritam to a certain extent, then you have to learn 4,500 rules of Panini called Ashtadhyayi. That's all. You have to learn that by heart. Along with that, you have to read the commentary called Mahabhashyam by the great Maharishi Patanjali. Then you are reasonably a new entrant in Sanskritam. There is one rule in Sanskritam. Purva padat sanyayam agaha. This is one rule amongst the 4,500. Purva padat sanyayam agaha. Let's say two words form one word together. Correct? For example, Rama. Have you heard of Rama? Very famous. Rama. Ayana. Ayana Shabdam means path, the way. Ayana. Rama plus Ayana is Ramaya. It's not Ramayana. Ramayan. Galat hai. In Sanskritam it is Rama plus Ayana. I have to say this line, but don't take it seriously. Look at my nose. Rama plus Ayana is Ramayana. That nana, when you bring these two words together, it is not Rama plus Ayana Ramayana. Wrong. Panini will hang you. He has put one rule. When Rama plus Ayana, because he says if the first word doesn't have ga, it should not have the letter ga. And the second word should have the letter na. Then he says the resultant word na should become na. That is the rule. Purva padat sanyaya magaha. Rama, does it have ga? No. Ayana, does it have na? When you put them together, it should not be Ramayana, it should be Ramayana. This is the rule. Correct? Now let's go to Ramayanam. In Ramayanam, in Sundarakandam, Sita is talking to Hanuman. Hanuman comes and meets her. Mata, kaise hain? Aadhar card dikhaiye. Aap hi hain kya Sita? Aapka naam change ho gaya. Are you J Sita or Sita Ram? Oh, main dekhna chahta hu. He checked everything, all that QFID, everything was over. Now Sita is now confirmed that this person has come from Bharatadesham, Karnataka, my state. So she is very happy. She asks, I believe that you have come from my husband and my brother-in-law's side. She wants to inquire how her husband and brother-in-law are. Generally, how will a person inquire? Mr. Hanuman, अब बताइए राम कैसे हैं, लक्ष्मण कैसे हैं? This is how she should ask. But she is a poetess. She says, how is the younger brother to Rama? How is the elder brother to Lakshmana? Will you inquire this? This is how it comes in Sundarakandam. Ramanujam Lakshmana Purvajam cha. See, Ramayanam is a great kavyam. You have to understand the nuances. She says, Ramanujam. Ramanujam means Anuja. Younger brother to Rama. Who's younger brother to Rama? Lakshmana. Lakshmana Purvajam cha. The one born before Lakshmana. Who is Rama here? How is Rama and Lakshmana? She asks, how is Rama's younger brother? How is Lakshmana's elder brother? That time she uses the word Ramanuja. Correct? How does the word Ramanuja come? Rama plus Anuja is Ramanuja. Correct? But using Panini's grammar, how it should be? Rama, does it have ga? No. Anuja, does it have na? So what should the resultant word be? Ramanuja. Correct? It cannot be Nuja. Correct? Then how did this become Ramanuja and not Ramanuja, sir? Hasn't it gone against Panini's rule? That is where the exception is. When Maharishis have used certain words, they don't have to conform to grammatical rules. This is an exception. I'll give you one. Shakespeare says, the most beautifulest of the knights has arrived. Shakespeare says, in English grammar, you use more and most when more than two syllables are deployed. Beautiful. More and most. You say more beautiful, most beautiful. If it's less than two, tall, you don't say more tall and most tall. You say taller and tallest. But Shakespeare says most beautifulest, which is wrong. Immediately the commentator asks, how can Shakespeare make this mistake? If Shakespeare has made, it is not a mistake he wrote. So, there is one rule. Oh sir, you are giving us a Sanskrit class. Bhagavad Gita is not, we are all used to get scoring marks in Sanskrit exams by writing answers in English. That is how one generation has grown. That generation can never understand the importance of Sanskritam grammar. Here, the king amongst knowledge is not Raja Vidya. Vidya Raja is the answer. But how did Krishna use Raja Vidya? Because there is one rule. Raja Danta Dishuva Patho Drashtavyaha. When two words come together, whichever word looks more powerful, you have to put that word. Vidya, knowledge. Raja, king. So put Raja first. So Vidya Raja becomes Raja Vidya. So what Krishna has used is not wrong. This was a big discussion in the 12th century. 100 Vidwans got together to discuss this for 3 days. And then they concluded. See how much time they had. Now Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. So he says Raja Guhyam. This is the king among secrets. Then Pavitramidam Uttamam Pavitram. In Vishnu Sahasranamam we get Pavitranam Pavitramyo Mangalanam Scha Mangalam Pavitram. It purifies you. Pavitram Idam Uttamam. See, even hand sanitizer purifies you. But you cannot consume that. Correct. Phenyl cleans your washroom, but you cannot consume that. It is a purifier, but it is not Uttamam. Uttamam is your mother, father, but you cannot consume them. It has to be consumable as well as the one that purifies. So he says Bhakti Yogam has both Pavitram and Uttamam. Pavitram idam Uttamam. Then he says Pratyaksha-vagamam. What is the commentary to that? Bhakti rupenopasane upasanasya anoham tadani nevopasituhu pratyakshatam upagato bhavatam bhavam ityartaha. Avagamam means the subject of knowledge. See, for example, I learned something. Why? To realize the subject of my knowledge. Through Bhakti Yogam, whom do I realize? Paramatma. So he becomes the Avagamam. Pratyaksha. Through direct perception, you can perceive this. In Madhva Sampradayam, it is called Aparoksha Jnanam. It will look as if at one stage of Bhakti Yogam, if you have reached that stage, commentary says when you close your eyes, you can actually feel and touch Krishna. That is the highest state. You won't realize, even if there is some big transformer bursting next to you, you cannot hear. Because you are in direct perception of Krishna. That is Pratyaksha-vagamam. Avagamam is object of knowledge, and then you can perceive it very beautifully. Does Krishna agree with this? In chapter 11, Vishwarupadhyayam, he says, Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna Nyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa Nyatum drashtum. As you know, as you internalize, hey Arjuna, when you close your eyes, you can see me. See, what is dhyanam? Have you heard of Ashtanga Yogam? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyanam, Samadhi. Samadhi is the last state of Ashtanga Yoga. Of course, in the Tamil movie language, Samadhi Katrivasa. That is a different Samadhi. He knows, he has done a separate Vedanta Kalakshepam. This Samadhi denotes the highest state of Ashtanga Yoga. When you close your eyes, see, in Sanatana Dharma meditation, you should not close your eyes entirely. It should look as if a lotus is about to blossom, like how it is in Tamil Nadu. So, like the lotus, it should be, imagine 6 o'clock in the morning, the lotus has to blossom through the rays of the sun. That is another problem in Tamil Nadu. So 6 a.m. the lotus has to blossom fully. At 5:45, it would have not blossomed, but it won't be closed. It will be in a half-blossomed state. Similarly should be our eyes in Dhyanam. The eyeballs should focus towards the tip of your nose, nasa gray. At the tip of your nose, you should see the object of your knowledge. Whomever you are meditating upon, that devata should be present. So your eyeballs should concentrate at the tip of your nose. Here he says, Pratyakshaavagamam Jnatum drashtum. As I hear, as I know, as I realize, as I internalize, as I contemplate, then you can see me, Arjuna. So that is Pratyakshaavagamam. Dharmyam. So Arjuna now asked, Arjuna is completely Indian at heart. Bharatiya. He says, what benefit will I get? See, many of them, they will refuse to pay health insurance premium. I don't know if you have heard of this. Sir, every year I pay 40,000 rupees, sir. They say coverage is 5 lakhs. Last year I didn't use that 5 lakhs. This person is upset that he has not used that 5 lakhs. He doesn't realize that just because you paid premium, it should not be used. You should be healthy. You are paying health insurance premium so that if you are sick, you can use it. Which means you should pray Ayura Arogya Saukyam. I should never use premium. But that person is upset that I have had 5 lakhs coverage, I didn't use it. That is the Jnanam. Vijnana Sahitam. Now, here Arjuna asks, okay, I will do Bhakti Yogam. Krishna, what will I get in return? Dharmyam, you will get moksham. You will never return. From where? Susukham. Till then, how will I be? Atyartha priyatvena upadeyam. See, there are certain yagas mentioned in Karma Kandam. If you remember, 7:20 to 7:30, I spoke about Karma Kandam and Jnana Kandam today. Karma Kandam has 3 portions. What are they? Turn your pages. Stand up on the bench. Tell me, what are the 3 parts of Karma Yoga, Karma Kandam? Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita. These are the 3 bhagams of Karma Kandam. They will in elaborate talk about yagams. There is one yagam called Jyotishtomam. Jyotishtomam Swargaka Moya Jeta. There is a vakyam in Karma Kandam. If you do Jyotishtomam, you get Swargakamam. But then Krishna is going to tell in the same chapter tomorrow at about 8:30. He will tell. If you go to Swargam, Abhipatate, somebody will keep pushing you. See, there is one anecdote in Upanishad. One person went to Swargam, it seems. He saw one Apsara Stri, some Menaka or Urvashi. She was pushing some man who this person knew of. So this person went and asked, Urvashi, tum kya kar rahi ho Urvashi? मैं इसको दोबारा पृथ्वी लोक भेज रहा हूँ सर. अच्छा मुझे आज नहीं. Man got real kal. So she said, today I will not push you. I will push you tomorrow. This man asked how? By tomorrow your punyam will get over. Kshine punye martyalokam. You will go there down. So Karma Kandam talks about phalam, but that phalam is very unstable. So that unstable phalam is not what one desires. They want moksham. So they want susukham. Susukham, abhyayam. That bhakti that you receive should be imperishable. So Krishna says, hey Arjuna, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, I am going to tell you the king amongst knowledge, the king among secrets. I told this somewhere, just this particular line. Immediately 4 women came and said, why can't he say queen? Why should he use the word king? I feel he's extremely male chauvinistic. I think Krishna has to change his entire notion about this word. I said, in understanding this, the commentator has said, the king word doesn't mean masculine king. See, for example, if we say that every word has to have a counterpart, then we say mankind. Do we say womankind? Because in that word mankind, womankind is also there. That is a gender a-specific term. I will give you one example in Tamil. 400 years back, there was a composer called Arunachala Kavi, 400 years back, in the temple town of Sirgari in Tamil Nadu. He came with a musical opera in Tamil describing the entire Ramayanam. That is called Rama Natakam. In Rama Natakam, he says, as Rama was walking by the streets of Mithila, in the low-hanging balcony, he saw Sita. As Sita's eye glances fell on Rama and Rama's on Sita, he composed a verse. He said, Karulavum Shirulavumiti. I can't translate this, I'll try. കാരുലാവും ശിരുലാവുമിഥിലയിൽ കണ്ണിമാടം തനിർ മുന്നേ നിன்றவர் யாரோ இவர் யாரோ என்ன பேரோ. Who is singing at home? Huh? Sita is looking at Rama and singing. How did you decide that? Ivar is there, sir. Ivar means Sita is looking at Rama. Correct. Wrong. Rama is looking at Sita. Then how did they use Ivar? Because in classical Tamil, for both the man and the woman, you have to say Ivar, not Ival. It is gender a-specific. Similarly, Dasharatha performed a yagam called Putra Kama Ishti. Have you heard of this? Why? Because he desired children, or be specific. Come on, be bold. Varka will be happy. He wanted sons. Correct. So he got sons through Putra Kama Ishti. What did Janaka do? Putra Kama Ishti. What did he receive? A girl. Then, sir, it should be Putri Kama Ishti, right? It can't be Putra Kama Ishti. You're able to get the logic here? No. Because in Sanskritam grammar, Putra doesn't just denote the male child. Putra denotes progeny. Putri means girl. But in grammar, when a word takes more than 1 second to be said, Putra, 1 second. Putri, 2 seconds. So the rule in Sanskritam is then to tell the word Putra means both male and female. So Putra Kama Ishti doesn't mean desiring sons, it desires children. Similarly, here Krishna says Raja Vidya, not to say Raja means king. Raja means prominence. That is why these days you don't use the word authoress. Those days are gone. We say author, whether it is a male or female. There used to be this word called actress. Now we don't say actress. We say actor, male. Actor, female. So Raja doesn't denote the XY genic allele in the man. Raja denotes prominence. So please don't bring all these thoughts to Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is male chauvinistic and so on. So the commentator concludes that, see how futuristic they were. Pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. Then Arjuna asked, hey Krishna, you have to tell me how people are not like this. Now for example, I'll give you an example. If there are parents who have nurtured their children at home, completely the boy and the girl have been under the shelter of their mother and father throughout. The child leaves the home or the country to do his or her masters. If it's to the US, it's masters. So let them go to masters as they're going to leave the country. That time the mother will be worried. She will tell her son or daughter, pack your stuff. You know what stuff means? What does stuff mean? As per dictionary, stuff means drugs. Check with your children. So, have you taken your stuff means drugs. But we have used that word stuff in a very colloquial context, which means packing your things. But stuff means drugs. You're able to get. Similarly, what will you tell your children? Be very careful. First, you will not tell the positives. See, if someone, 20 years back when you used to travel by the Indian Railways, there used to be an announcement. If somebody gives biscuit, don't consume. Have you seen those advertisements? So you're always told to be careful. Don't go there. Don't tell this. Now Krishna started on a very positive note. Arjuna, I'm going to talk about Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. Then Arjuna was not given that caution of how he should not be. मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ, मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ. Have you heard of that? So मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ. There is a fault. That is why the person is asking मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ. So you spot some negativity. Now Krishna says don't be this. Now Arjuna asks, you're telling don't be this. Whom should I not be like? Then he says Ashraddhanaha Purusha. Back bend. Ashraddha dhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapyamami vartante mrityu samsara vartmani asya upasanakhya dharmasya niratishaya priyamadvishayataya swayam niratishaya priyarupasya paramanishhreyasa swarupamat prapti sadhanasya avyayasya upadana yogya dashanam prapya ashraddhadhanaha vishwasa purvakatvara rahitaha purushaha mam aprapyam mrityu sape samsaravatmani nitaram vartante aho mahat idam ascharyamityattah shrunutavat prapya bhutasya mama achintya mahimanam is the commentary. Now asya dharmasya, in this dharmam, what is that dharmam? Bhakti yogam. See, in first verse I said idam means bhakti yogam, this. Second verse idam bhakti yogam. Then he says asya dharmasya, in this dharmam which is bhakti yogam, the purusha. Now again I'll give you a Tamil connotation. Idiyam purusha sir. Now purusha. So this purusha means, what does purusha means? Husband, hubby. But in Sanskritam, purusha doesn't denote husband. So what is the definition, sir? Agragami iti purusha. When two people walk, whoever walks first is called purusha. So essentially that word can change in the family. The woman can walk first. In that case, technically as per Sanskrita definition, she is the purusha. So agragami purushaha. The second meaning, puru bahu sanoti. The one who loves to keep on donating generously is called purusha. Okay. Puri sheteti purushaha. This body is called puri. Puri means city. This body is like a city. It has got many entrances, nose, the place through which we excrete. It is called Navadwara Pattinam. Only through these exits the Jivatma will leave our body. So this body is called Puri. Who stays within this Puri? Jivatma. So the Jivatma is called Purusha because it stays within the Puri. Puri Shete iti Purusha. So the Jivatma stays within the body, it is Purusha. Paramatma is called Purusha because he is very generous. Amongst the man and woman, whoever walks first is called Purusha. Three definitions you have. Now Krishna says, Ashraddhadhanaha Purusha. Hey Arjuna, there are some people, generally when you tell the other person, you should never blame the other person. Then that person will stop listening. See, you're all such wonderful listeners. I should keep praising you. Then only 2 more days you will come. So Krishna does that to Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, there are certain people who never listen. Arjuna said, whom are you meaning? Not you, Arjuna. I told you in verse 1 itself, you are anasuyave, you are bereft of jealousy. Tum itne achhe ho Arjun, dekhne ke liye, your action came. Your Arjun. Arjuna means very fair complexion. Arjuna means very fair complexion. Your fair complexion. I don't even have to use that ointment. You're so handsome to look at. Anasuyave. Listen, I'm talking about certain people. Ashraddhadhana. Aprapyamami vartante. Now Arjuna asked, who are these people? Krishna. That is when Krishna says, Asya dharmasya. Those people who do not realize the importance of Bhakti Yogam. And what do? Krishna? Parantapa. Then Krishna motivates him. Hey Parantapa, the one with great austerities in you. Hey Arjuna, aprapyamam. They don't reach me. Nivartante. Nitaram vartante. They are happy to stay in this world. You know, you must have heard of these statements these days in all movies. Life ek hi baar milta hai yaar. Yaar ek hi baar milta hai to life enjoy karna. This ek hi baar milta hai is the one Krishna is denoting. Because life is not once. If you want to understand Sanatana Dharma's perspective, there is no one life. We have taken many births. So Krishna tells this very clearly to Arjuna. We have taken many births. Arjuna, you have taken many births. How do we understand, sir? Because Sanatana Dharma's USP is karma theory. Correct? Suppose you're leaving this hall after the lecture. You meet somebody in the station. किधर गए थे आप? गीता का लेक्चर था. आप क्यों दुखी हो? Karma. Purva Janma karma. See what karma we have done. That karma has made us sit in PGP Hall today. Whether that karma will guide us day 2 and day 3, Srinivasan sir should send reminders sir to everybody. So, for everything we say in Sanatana Dharma, karma, correct, which was action. Action of the present and action of the past. Now there are 2-3 questions here. What do we say in Sanatana Dharma? We say Atma travels body after body. Correct? Bodies are different. Atma is the same. Atma keeps shifting body to body. Like the worm that crawls and moves from one leaf to the other, Jivatma moves from one body to the other. Jivatma is the same, but bodies are different. So body is perishable, non-eternal. Atma is eternal. This is our theory. Now what will be the return question? Devil's advocate from Karan Thapar. Have you seen it? Have you seen the Atma exit? Have we seen? No. We have not seen. See, do we keep waiting in the hospital? Tata painted. Catch the Atma, immediately the Atma is leaving. We never say that, correct? Then, but we believe Atma has gone. How? For this, I have to use 3 terms. Be very vigilant in listening. Then only you will understand. Vedanta is not easy either to explain or to understand. 3 words. Pratyaksham, Anumanam, Shabdam. 3 words. Pratyaksham. You see it, you perceive it. See, for example, if the child asks, what have you made today? I have made some lasagna for you. Where is lasagna? It's all there. You have to show that boy that lasagna. So lasagna is here. So you can see lasagna. That is why the child craves for lasagna. It completely has bhakti yogam to lasagna, because through pratyaksham the child is able to see. So pratyaksham means you perceive. Most important perception is visual perception. Correct. The other perceptions come in the second level. Imagine the masala vada is not shown to the person, but still the person, hey, you have made masala vada. How do you know? Smell. Correct. So nose is also important. Then at times when you fry, you get that sound. So that sound will come. At times imagine like Gandhari or Tide. Somebody rubs that masala vada on your skin. Masala vada, yeah. So with the touch, with the smell, with the sound, you are able to perceive. But the most important is eye, because you have to see it. The bliss is tongue when you taste it. Correct? Some will smell good. Smell, taste, sumar, nanamma, it will smell very good, but it will not taste well. Correct? Some will taste well, but smell will not be very good. So this is called pratyaksham. Second is anumanam. See, for example, in many industrial units area, there is always a safety hazard. That is there, it will catch fire immediately. You must have heard of that Kuwait incident a day back. So it catches fire. To believe that there is fire in the building, you don't have to go near that place and see that fire. Even if you are 3 kilometers away and you see hordes of smoke coming, the moment you see smoke coming, you know what you will tell the other person? There is fire. The effect is seen. The cause is derived. So that is called anumanam. This is called inference in logic. Third is shabdam, verbal testimony, which is what Shastram says. How do you understand Paramatma? Sir, yesterday I saw Narayana coming with Shankha Chakram right in front of me. I forgot to take photo on my iPhone. बस उन्होंने मेरे सामने प्रत्यक्ष हुए और नीतीश भारद्वाज ने पूछा, बेटा तुम्हें क्या चाहिए? Then in a few seconds he became N.T. Ramarao. Pratyaksham will not work. This is how Nastikas always use this argument in Tamil Nadu especially. Kadavulai ni paarthaya. Do you see God? I have not seen, but your wife has seen. So, pratyaksham is something that we don't find it easily. Anuman. See, we can always say that Ramanuja, Adi Shankara were blessed. If they were blessed, then there should be Paramatma. Then which is the easiest way? Shastra Vedmi Janardanam. This is a line from the Udyoga Parva of Mahabharatam. Only through Shastram you can understand Paramatma. Simple. You read Narayaniyam, you will be able to follow those lines. You can see Paramatma. Similarly is Jivatma. Now, in Sanatana Dharma, I said Jivatma travels body after body, but you cannot see. How do we conclude? See, if we believe that life is only once, then a newborn child should never suffer. Correct? See, suppose at the age of 40, I do a mistake and get inside jail, you can say at the age of 35. You did this wrong, so you are inside jail. But what mistake did the child do to take insulin injection at the age of 1? So that is when Shastram says, because the child is carrying a huge baggage from his previous births. We call it Purva Janma Karma. So this Purva Janma Karma are factors that make us infer that Jivatma travels body after body. Point 1 over. Now there will be certain people who say life एक ही बार मिलता है यार, उसको enjoy करना है, क्या है, एक बार सभी try कर दो ना, इसमें क्या दिक्कत है, take one glass, पियो ना, इसमें क्या है, December 31st, life को enjoy करना चाहिए. This enjoy करना चाहिए comes from the assumption that life is only once. So Krishna tells Arjuna, don't get confused, there are many births. But Arjuna asks, are there people who don't believe in it? Yes, ashraddha dhanaha. Some people do not have shraddha. So Arjuna asks, what is the prerequisite to believe in it? That is when he says, Vishwasa purvaka tvara ragita. You should have Vishwasam, belief. See, remember, Vedas is the source of knowledge. There was one person called Kumarila Bhatta. I am talking 1500 years back. He wanted to understand how Buddhism was flourishing in Bharatam, because Buddhism was a big thing in those days. So he wanted to understand how Buddhism is flourishing. So he disguised himself as a Buddhist with red robes and went and joined a Buddhist camp. Buddhists in between the 1st and the 6th century AD, CE, had the habit of not brushing their teeth in the morning and having curd rice. In the morning, it is all there. Whatever I am saying is backed by scripture. They used to have curd rice, masala kabalam. They never used to brush. That time, this Kumarila Bhatta acted as if he was a Buddhist, and he learnt the nuances with which Buddhists were able to convince the others of their philosophy. Sarvam svalakshanam svalakshanam, sarvam shunyam shunyam. These are all the tenets of Buddhism. This person understood, and slowly he started recording these. The other students saw something fishy in Kumarila Bhatta and went and complained to the teacher, this man does not belong to our camp. He has indeed come to know the nuances with which we are able to convince the others of our philosophy. What should we do? Budhyate iti Bauddha is the definition. So they went and pushed Kumarila Bhatta from the top of the building downwards. Kumarila Bhatta, while he was being pushed, he realized that people are trying to kill him. He said, I have learnt the Vedas under my Guru. If what I have learnt is true, let the Vedas protect me. He was pushed. Sir, you're talking about a building. Come on. Are you from the WhatsApp University? How do you know there were skyscrapers and buildings in those days? Because in Ramayanam there is a word called Vimanam in Ayodhya Kandam, to which the commentators, 6 of them, Trayambaka Makhin, Madhava Yogi, Tilaka, Nagesha Bhatta, Govinda Raja, Maheshwara Tilaka, and Vamshidhara Shiva Sahaya, all 6 of them say the word Vimana means that building which has 7 tiers. So in Ayodhya, the commentary says it had 7 tiers. So this Kumarila Bhatta was pushed from the top of the building. What did he say? If the Vedas, what I have learnt is true, let it protect me. He fell, he had multiple fractures and abrasions. After having been left, he went with all these bruises to the teacher who taught him Vedas and said, Sir, I so diligently, with so much of confidence, I learnt these Vedas until while I was being pushed from the top of the building, I prayed to the Vedas to protect me. But see, look at the bruises. The teacher said, what did you say? If the Vedas that I have learnt is true, there is the problem. You said, if the Vedas, the word if has an element of doubt. You should have said, the Vedas, what I've learned is true, nothing will happen to me. You have that iota of doubt, probability, if, that is why you have these bruises. So, for Bhakti Yogam, Krishna says, what is the prerequisite? Vishwasa. Second prerequisite, Tvara. Tvara means hurry. See, when Vibhishana comes from Sri Lanka, Lanka Pradesham to Bharatadesham, he tells Sugriva, can you please go inform Rama that Ravana's brother called Vibhishana has come seeking asylum. I believe CAA has been implemented. I come from the neighboring country. Please give me asylum. Sugriva has to leave. That time, he says, Tvara, go fast. See, when you have the intent to surrender to Paramatma, you should do it immediately. Agalanna. Let's see. Tomorrow never dies, By the time you will be dead. See, who can give it in writing that I will be living tomorrow? Nobody can. Uranguvadu pol savu, urangi virippadu pol pirappu. Thiruvalluvar, the great saint in Tamil language, says, in the night, everyone makes arrangements for death. The room is darkened. You lay your bed. You put one tortoise coil next to your head. You drink milk and you sleep. Next day, if you wake up, you see. Uranguvadu pol savu, urangi virippadu pol pirappu. Next day, this is called Nitya Pralayam. You may not wake up the next day. Many of them die in the middle of the night. You won't realize. So how many of us can be sure? So, Krishna says, be very careful. That is why Vibhishana says, go immediately. Sugriva, don't delay. Because I don't know when this Jivatma will leave this body. Before it leaves, I have to seek asylum at the feet of Rama. So, this Tvara should be there. When you have to do Bhakti Yogam, you should have that what is that, fire in the belly? Yeah? What is that advertisement? Fire in that belly you should have. You should always have that hurry. So Krishna says, the one who does Bhakti Yogam should have two characteristics. Vishwasa, confidence. Tvara, hurry. If you don't have this, then you are Ashraddha Dhanaha. You don't have Shraddha in Bhakti Yogam. Aprapyama. Then Arjuna asked, what will happen to that person? Nivartante. They will be born again and again and again in this earth. Now Simhapuri, next Kuala Lumpur, next Penang, next Ukraine, next Israel. You have to keep. By then social media would have leaped many times. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. You're born. The Jivatma is fit inside the body, the child is born. The moment the child is seen by the grandmother, ye engineer ek din banega. The grandmother decides, looking at the facial characteristics of the child itself, that the child will become an engineer. The child doesn't know how to differentiate or integrate. He flunks in mathematics, but he's forced into engineering. After engineering, what does this boy do? In the third year, that boy or the girl realizes that they are not meant for engineering and they look for other ways for doing their masters in finance. So they do finance. Then in the second year, they realize that they have to do something about getting a charter in CFA 3 levels and 2 levels of FRM, risk management. They get that. After that, they realize that a doctorate in colonial literature will do them good. They do, and finally they give upanyasams like this. So, your life is full about search. How does your school days go? I'm sure you will have better curriculum here. But at least till the 1990s, if you've grown up in Bharatadesham, first kindergarten, you talk about one person called Humpty Dumpty. Instead of learning Rigveda mantras, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. This man was careless and he fell. And to every guest who comes to the house, Humpty Dumpty solli kama. So that is over. Next, that those two, the boy and the girl, went atop the hill and one tumbled down. The other is about the nakshatra. Oh, how I wonder. If you wonder, Adhyausa Chandrarka Nakshatraha Kamdisho Bhurmahodadihi. If you look, tell that was Kamdisho Bhurmahodadihi Vasudevasya Viryane. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Then you go to Nakshatra Dhanam. Starbucks. So, you have to have the chai latte, you have to think about a starter. Then elementary school. plumule radical, then Mendeleev's periodic table, you have to, and then 1857 Battle of Plassey, 1857 Battle of Plassey, 1857 Battle of Plassey, 1679 Battle of Talikota, Krishna Devaraya, son Achyuta Devaraya, you have to by heart write a 10-mark essay with for 200 words. All lines will be active to passive, passive to active. So all this is over, then you do all your degrees, then you will have children, then you will have grandchildren, you will worry about their future, and the Atma exits the body. Correct? Again you have to do the same thing in the next Atma. Same Humpty Dumpty, same thing. That is when Krishna tells Arjuna, Aprapyamam nivartante, they will continue remaining in the same world without memory of their past. See, we have done the same thing. Morning we eat, afternoon we eat, evening we eat, next day we excrete, eat, excrete. If you wake up, you have to eat. After you wake up, you have to think what to cook. Same schedule. But the beauty is, we are erased of our memory. See, in the early 2000s, when we had to change our phone, we used to be worried because contacts could never be shifted from one phone to the other. So the new phone will be clean, clear. Then you have to feed every contact one by one. So that is punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. But 1 out of 100 will manage to remember their past. That is how now contacts are shifted. See, when you change your mobile, there is one app which helps you take the memory of this mobile to the other. Such people are called Jati Smaraha in Shastra. People who have memories of their previous janmas. So here Krishna says, Arjuna, you don't remember your previous janma, but I know who you were. That is why I am Paramatma and you are Jivatma. And if you do not realize this and you don't have that belief and Tvara, Hari, you will continue to remain in this world. Aprapyamam nivartante. How is this samsara? Mrityu samsara vartmani. See, Tyagaraja says, the famed Telugu composer in Carnatic tradition, Bhagavad Dharanopaya muledani Tyagaraja karambidi. See, if you look at life as such, with plethora of surprises, shocks, problems, adversities, Acharyas say it is a deep well. This life is like a deep well. How deep is it? I am sure you must have heard of a city called Coimbatore. It became very famous also. So in Coimbatore, you have to dig the wells very deep. Anybody from Coimbatore here? Many Astikas. So Coimbatore, the wells are generally very deep. So there used to be a joke. If a person manages to slip into the wells of Coimbatore by mistake, and the person's name is Rajiv or something. Rajiv! Where are you? Are you inside the well? Yes, Mama, I am falling. Because the well is so deep, it will take a long time for you to fall. So the well is so deep. That is why in Kannada, Purandaradasa says, Nana Deshagadalli. Any Kannada speaking Astikas here? Nana Bandhugadalli, Nana Yonigadalli, Nalidu Hutti, Nanu Nannenu Demba, Naragadolage. Biddu, Biddu anta Kannada bhasheಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಬಿಳಿಂದು fell. Biddu, it is so deep. That is when you realize, I don't want the next janmam. Neene gati endu nambida dasana mele innudaya barade. Tyagaraja says, Bhava bhitaranopaya muledani Tyagaraja karambidi. Why? Because samsaram, life. See, that is why when you're a child, you don't realize the problems because your parents fund your education. And if you're an Indian origin child, they'll fund your higher education. And if you're an extremely fortunate Indian child, even when you're 40, your mother will make sambar powder for you. Till then, you will never realize the importance. When everything is left to you for fend yourself, that is when Mrityu samsara vartmani. Then you realize, Krishna, I think you have kept me in your mind while telling the third shloka. That is when Krishna tells Arjuna, I am going to explain Bhakti Yoga. But if you're ashraddha dhanaha, you keep on harping on the point that life is once, ek hi baar hai, enjoy karo. Mrityu samsara vartmani, I am happy, I am ready to shift your jivatma from one body to the other. But I can't assure you whether it will be in Bharatam, Ukraine, Gaza or African. I can't tell you which land you will be born. There is no assurance that if you have taken a human janma, you will be a human. You can go back to that of an animal. When you go back to that of an animal, nothing wrong, but you won't have the fortune of listening to Bhagavad Gita. Imagine that life. You could be one of those animals in the Singapore Zoo, then Jurongga. You could be that bird in the next janma. They will take you and keep you inside that cage. As such, samsaram itself is a cage. In that they will keep you inside that cage. Everybody will keep taking pictures at you. That is how life will be. So that is why, Arjuna, you have to surrender to me at the earliest. Arjuna asked, what should I do? For that, you have to listen to the 4th verse tomorrow. Question. We'll take up 2 questions and finish it off because 110 questions are there. At least 2. 8 questions.
Pranams, Shri Dushyanth Sridhar ji, for explaining to us this Moksha Shastram of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, interspersed with so much of wit and Sangeetam. Thank you for a very lively session today, and also for laying a very strong foundation for us with many fundamental aspects of the Shatkams in the Gita, the context, aspects like Prama, Pramanam, Pramata, Prameyam, and for making us realize the importance of significance of the words Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, that Shatpunya Paripurnaha iti Bhagavan. We will remember this every time we chant the Bhagavad Gita, and also for commencing this discourse on Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga, and we look forward to the other verses tomorrow. So as we don't have much of time, maybe just one question, which is very specific to the 9th chapter. So in Gita 9th chapter verse 2, Bhagavan says attaining Nirguna Jnanam is easy, susukham. Whereas in 12th chapter 5th verse, he says Kleshaha adhikataraha tesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyaktahi gatihi dukkham. That it is a bit difficult to understand. So how do we understand this? And related to that was another question: how should a Sanatani look at Brahman as the ultimate truth versus worship of Vishnu or Shiva?
So I'll just make it very quick. Of course, the questions are very deep. The word that he has used is Nirgunatvam. So there are 2 connotations to it. Nirgunatvam is guna rahityam, without any gunam. But in Nyaya Shastram, there is a question: how will you even perceive something without a gunam? So the definition which some acharyas give for Nirgunatvam is Durguna Rahityam. See, for example, Sagunam means with gunam, Nirgunam means without gunam. That is the general definition. But let's say I pass by, what is that, Orchard Road? What is that? Orchard Road. So I walk by the Orchard Road with my father. I say, I need to have a condo here. My father says, we don't have money. Immediately I take his wallet, I spread it out, all those coins come down. You say we don't have money, look, we have money. My father will give a guffaw, he'll say. I said, we don't have money to buy a condo here. Similarly, when Shastram says that Bhagavan has gunams like mercy, daya, so on and so forth, suddenly it introduces the word Nirgunam. It doesn't mean without gunams. It means without bad gunams. See, generally when there used to be a concept of arranged marriage and the boy used to come home, immediately the elders in the family used to have a very pertinent question in the Bharatiya language. Does he have any habits? Yeah, Padakarka. What they mean by Padakam is not good. It means bad. Does he Agnihotram, Tirthavari, does he do? So that Nirgunatvam means Durgunatvam. So that is the context which some acharyas give. And of course there is another verse which he states that if this knowledge is to be acquired, there is another place where Bhagavan says it is tough. there are many statements that Krishna does in diametrically opposite manner. In the same chapter, Navamodhyayam, he will say in one place that everything is in me, I am the Adharam. Next verse he will say, I am not the Adharam for anything. What do you say? What a hypocrite he is. He says in one verse something, दूसरे में बोलता है ये क्या election manifesto है? फटाफट खटाखट दे देंगे, क्या है ये? That's what I'm telling you from Krishna's Bhagavad Gita. So, Krishna does give such statements. That is why Purvacharya Surakshitam Bahumatim Yaghata Durasthitam. The commentaries help us a lot because we have to derive and come to a consensus. See, in Sanskritam there are two words, Samanvayam and Samanjasam. You have to you cannot just conclude and say, see, Krishna tells in that Bhagavad Gita, chapters 9, about, well, you can reach me. And on chapter 12, he says that you can't. So he's quite opposing. You can't say that. Because Krishna has to come to a Samanvayam and Samanjasam. If he was confusing, then our Purvacharyas would not comment. So the commentaries help. That is a beat. Tomorrow I'll take up one aspect and tell you how to do the Samanvayam and Samanjasam. For that you have to come tomorrow. We leave it here.
Another very common question was regarding how to enlighten the kids about the Gita and get the youth interested in the Bhagavad Gita. So for that, Dushyanth Sridhar is addressing the youth forum on Saturday.
Yeah, so I thought that was a question. See, the thing is, how to engage the youth. For that, first parents should listen to Bhagavad Gita. See, the problem is, parents and grandparents want their grandchild to listen. But if you ask the parents, have you listened? They'll say, I've never tried. Then how will the child get inspired? See, if the parents and grandparents show that inkling or that interest or the penchant to listen, the grandchild will say, see, my parents listen, my grandparents listen. See, how have we learned? Your mother would have kept that golu in your house. You are inspired, you keep. She calls other people, is hospitable. You are inspired, you are hospitable. You want your grandchild to do everything which you have not done and which you are not doing, that won't work. You listen, they are inspired. So you are listening today and tomorrow. That is why she said on Saturday morning there is a youth forum. They will be inspired when you come tomorrow as well. And Saturday evening they will bring you. See, if you come day 1 and day 2, they will come for day 3 morning. If they come for day 3 morning, they will bring you back in day 3 evening. You see that cycle, Punarapi? So that will happen.
Dhanyavadaha Mahodaya. We will assemble tomorrow by 6:30 p.m. and will chant chapter 9 in full before the discourse begins. It was indeed a very wonderful session today. Our heartfelt gratitude to Shri Dushyanth Sridhar ji for enlightening us with his powerful words. On behalf of Gita Jayanti, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to Swami Samachittananda ji, Shri Rajan Krishnan ji, and all the guests for joining us today. Sincere thanks to each one of you present here and for making this occasion a truly memorable one. I'm sure we'll all return tomorrow to listen to the other verses of Raja Vidya Rajaguhya Yoga. Prasadam awaits you in the dinner hall below. Dhanyavadaha. Shubharatrihi. Thank you.